So I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Craig Miller. You want to say anything?
Yes, I'm going to read this. I'm
Let's
supposed
go
to.
ahead. I can see you standing there wanting to say
Yes.
something.
Yes.
All right, here you go. All right, ready?
Craig Miller is a respected filmmaker and founder of Craig Miller Productions. He's produced award-winning productions for an extensive list of Fortune 500 clientele. In 2002, he opened C Pictures, like the letter C, a commercial production company to meet the growing need for spot production in Atlanta. He has served on the executive board of the Georgia Production Partnership for the past 6 years and is a past member of the National Board of Directors of IACP and the Governor's Film Advisory Board. Craig's renowned film, One Day in Search of the South, which I have seen, developed for the Welcome South Visitor Center, was recognized by the Southeast Tourism Society as the most comprehensive picture of Southern living, and that's not with two capital S and L, on record today.
Thank you.
Y'all.
So today I'm here representing the Georgia Production Partnership. And I'm one of the co-presidents of the Georgia Production Partnership and wanted to let you know a little bit about that organization. But then I also want to talk to you about how there are thousands of ways that you can engage businesses in your town and in your communities and your counties to help in attracting films and then supporting those films when they come to Georgia. So the Georgia Production Partnership was formed in 1995, and I go through some of this pretty quick because at lunch you saw some of these notes from Craig Dominy from the film office. We are the voice of filmmaking in the state of Georgia. We take credit for having gotten together the grassroots organization that pushed the incentive legislation through the Georgia legislature. We are going to show you a quick DVD that tells you about GPP and tells you about the impact it's had in Georgia.
It began as an idea. It grew into a dialogue. It evolved into a singular voice. Soon, this group became a catalyst for growth and change. It became the voice of film and media production in Georgia. Georgia Production Partnership today boasts hundreds of members, spanning every aspect of filmmaking and media production. Every day, we're actively promoting the industry through communication, education, and advocacy. GPP was instrumental in helping to pass into law entertainment tax incentives, which have made Georgia one of the top 5 states in the country for movie and television production, benefiting thousands of Georgia businesses and providing tens of thousands of jobs. GPP works closely with elected officials and with the State Film, Music, and Digital Entertainment Office to grow Georgia as a top production destination. It is our passion to build our talent pool and develop the next generation of production professionals. It is our promise to be an advocate for the best in production incentives. The numbers speak for themselves. More than 25 feature films, nearly 75 major television shows, more than 190 TV commercials, and scores of digital games. $2.4 billion in economic impact. This year alone in Georgia. In 1995, it was just an idea. Today, GPP is the voice of the industry.
I'll tell you a little bit about GPP. If you would like to be an associate member, if your tourism council, if your city, if your chamber of commerce would like to join, you can go to our website, georgiaproduction.org, and apply for an associate membership. So it's an opportunity to be connected with everybody in the state of Georgia that's making films or TV shows or commercials. And we do fundraisers. We advocate and promote our business at the Georgia legislature. We have a film day just like tourism has a tourism day. So it's a very active group, and we meet once a month, and we have guest speakers. Every month at Manuel's Tavern in Virginia Highlands in Atlanta, on the first Tuesday of each month, we have a luncheon, And anybody can attend. If you're not a member, it's $10. I advise you to come early. We usually have 150 to 200 people crowded in the Manuel's Tavern. And it's a great time. It's an educational time. It's a great networking time. It's good to just know people in the industry. So if you can make it, great. We'd love to have you sometime. Next slide, please. I'm going to run through this really quick because you did get this at lunch. Does everybody in this room understand what the incentive program is? Does anybody have a question about the program, just how it works or anything? We all have it down? Yes?
I do have one question.
Sure.
Do they get more benefit if they use production people here that are located in the state?
Believe it or not, they can bring people from wherever they want to bring. Yes. Some states that have incentives, their entire credit or the financial support that the state provides them is based on them using state hires. It's not required here in Georgia. So if they want to bring in folks because we can't man up enough crew to make it work, they can bring in folks from outside, or if it's the director's brother, and he wants to hire him. That all counts against the incentive as it exists today. So that makes us a little more favorable for folks out of Los Angeles who do have their, favorite people they like to work with, like we all do. So that's a good thing. Other questions? Sure.
Craig, is that, and I want to make sure I understand, that is of the total budget of the film, that is the percentage?
Yes, here's the key, the key to the whole process. Projects must be shot in Georgia. So if you are shooting, I'll give you two examples that are really important. One is, let's say that you shoot somewhere else, like frequently my company will shoot commercials, but we'll shoot them in Texas, or we'll shoot them in Indiana or somewhere else. Well, we'll bring them back to Atlanta and we'll do the post-production in Atlanta. We don't qualify for anything for that because we shot outside the state, okay? The interesting caveat is it is about shooting in Georgia. Now, the other side of it that you'll get a lot of discussion from what we call post-production houses, where they do editorial and audio and things like that. They want to say, well, we produced a cartoon, or we produced stop action motion for, that was what the movie was made up from. We did Ice Age. Sorry, nothing shot, nothing qualifies. So that's been, that's the way this program was set up. That's the way it's interpreted in the rules and regs. That's how it works. Yes.
And he said all aspects of production make up to get to the 500,000, and it can be just about everything as long as it's shot in Georgia.
Unless
it's all
you're,
done and edited from pre, post, every single aspect.
as long as it's shot in Georgia.
As long as it's shot in Georgia, and if there's, is there a partial? I think I was hearing earlier if there's a little bit of an incentive if you have a production that's not quite 500,000. Is there any kind of incentives from Georgia at all for?
If you have a production company like my production company, I'm sorry, I seldom do $500,000 productions, okay? But I can aggregate my productions over the year. So if you can come up with $500 where, let's say you do three, let's do something easy. Well, you do five $100,000 productions, then you can file for the entire year for the production, which is, it's a great thing.
For the whole year?
For the whole year. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You stressed that the projects must be shot in Georgia. When we were upstairs, Craig mentioned that in Forrest Gump, only that one scene was shot in Georgia. Does that qualify, or is it a certain percentage of the film that has to be shot here?
The spend in Georgia would qualify. Forrest Gump was shot long before this incentive took place. So it's an old example, okay? Most of the principal photography to qualify has to be shot in Georgia. I'll tell a story on myself because it's always about having the right answer when people call you and say, I've got something going on. I was working at the office late one night and get this phone call. It was a Friday night. It was after 6 o'clock. My phone rang. And I said, who's calling me at this time of the day? It was a producer from Warner Brothers out of the United Kingdom. He was at the Atlanta airport. He said, I'm about to leave town. we need to do a scene in Georgia for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Tim Burton's coming to town, four-man crew, it's no big deal. Are you interested in being the production company because we don't want to have to do a big deal out of this? Sure, I'll make that happen. You know, they said, okay, you know, we think we're going to spend about $20,000. We're bringing most of the stuff in, and we know exactly where we're going to shoot. We're going to shoot you for Georgia. We've been, John Finley, one of the location scouts in Georgia, been looking for 6 months for this one location. It's a suburban community where all the houses look similar, all the driveways are in the same place, the garages, yeah, you got a thing, yeah. So we said, sure, we'll do it. By the time it was over with, we had a crew of 30, we had 40 Teamsters, we had 20 extras. Tim Burton came in. It took maybe 5 or 6 hours, which is sort of what they were predicting it to do. The job went from 20,000 to 100,000, and it's like, holy cow, you got to be ready to move quick, you know, and you got to have some answers and some, you know, that speed and that part of the camera-friendly scenario really can help you land even some small things. In the final film, 2 seconds maybe of the little girl that eats the blueberries. That's Georgia, you know. Now, you'll see it listed in the source book as, you know, we shot scenes, you know. Well, you shot scenes, I take credit for it too. It's a great thing. So, being prepared and ready to answer those questions, yes, you will run into a unique situation when the majority of the filming is not done in Georgia. You know, you're just picking up a small chunk of it. So, yeah.
And real quick too, we've been mostly talking about TV and television, but on the commercial aspect of it, is there any sort of fine line regulation as far as what it really works for being commercial? Do pretty much any commercial advertisement for businesses or whatever?
Anything
Limited, or is it?
No, it's as long as it pretty much. We do a lot of corporate work too. Corporate work, even if it's really expensive corporate work, doesn't count. What they're looking for, because you'll send it into the film office to determine if you are if you are what's the word I'm looking for? Qualified. Thank you. Qualified for the credit, and they'll say yes or no. But one of the questions is going to be is how are you distributing it? You're only distributing it on the internet right now. It's not going to work. It's got to be on cable TV. It's got to be broadcast. It's got to be in a movie theater. It's got to be going to DVD that are being sold. Those kind of things qualify to work for your community. If it's a Federal Express doing a how-to video about driving your truck, I don't care if they're sending it to everybody in the country. It isn't going to qualify.
But like a visitors, like a local access cable visitors information channel type thing would qualify.
Potentially. I'll say that, yes. If you can generate, again, $500,000 worth of aggregate business over the course of the year, or if that spot costs, or a show costs $500,000. There you go. What's next? State grants, additional 10% tax credit. Everybody understand the logo? We've talked about it a couple of times. The peach logo, you know about the peach logo? Does that make sense to you guys? In a second, we'll talk about what's about to happen with the peach logo, which I think is, well, I don't think the film office can talk about it, but I can. This is, so 20% tax rate, $500,000, and post-production in Georgia, either a single production or multiple productions. So like Tyler Perry can crank out, he sells House of Pain and the Browns for $100,000 an episode to Turner, to TNT. He gets 5 of them, that'll make it work. And he's doing so much other business that's going on. So this is the part that you won't get anywhere else. Everybody pay attention to House Bill 1027. You know how to get online and look at Georgia government and see what's going through. This bill is about to come out of Ways and Means. Its sponsor is Ron Stevens out of Savannah, who is a big friend of the film industry. The story is that the governor, who we like, he's a good man. We think his policies are good. We want to support him. is looking for incentive money to give to attract power industries and to attract manufacturing, such as the Caterpillar plant that's going into Athens. Creates lots of jobs, has a huge amount of impact. So he's looking for money. So he's out there. One of the things they looked at was our film incentive. They said, why don't we get rid of that 10%? And our response, the add-on, the uplift. And our response was, that 10% is really important. Having a 30% budget for films, even though the commercials, I was going to say earlier, only get 20%. Having the complete 30% for films makes us competitive. I would have to say that Louisiana has the best tax incentive in the country, and now they have really good infrastructure working in the state of Louisiana, especially in Shreveport. But Georgia is 2 or 3 on most people's lists, which is excellent. To this short amount of time, we've had the incentive. So, but they're looking for it. We raised our hand. We have lobbyists. We talk to people. We have friends. We're trying to figure out what's going on because it sort of came out of the blue. So House Bill 1027 was introduced, it went to Ways and Means, and it should be coming out of Ways and Means in the next 2 days. These are the 5 things today that are in that bill. One is, and the biggest thing, is the placement of the Georgia logo. Now, from a studio production aspect, they don't care for this at all. They'll tolerate it more than likely, but it's not something they would gravitate to naturally because film people, unlike the rest of us, think that credits are really, really, really important and it's something they control. Whereas the rest of us are usually out the door and to the restaurant by the time most of the credits have run. So I think that, so one of the things they want to do is, let's get a little more for our 10% if we don't want to get rid of it, So the 10%, what they're going to do is get better placement on the positioning of the Georgia logo. The desired position they have at this point is in the industry what we call between the above the line and the below the line. The above the line are the people like executive producers and producers, associate producers and writers and directors, and that crowd, And then you hit your cast, and then you hit everybody else. Well, between the cast and the everybody else, that's where they want the Georgia logo to go now. And they've also put some wording in it which we think is favorable that if it can't go there, let's say there's if you've seen movies where like Ice Age, I don't know why I'm picking on that one today, but where the credits have creative stuff going on in them, little outtakes of the film and things like that. Well, they may say to have the Georgia logo go in there full screen right in the middle of that would be detrimental to our film because people love our credits. So they have to find an equal value position, that they can convince the film office that the logo will be duly featured. Again, I think for tourism, it's a plus. It might make some people think twice about Georgia because gee, I don't want to mess with that. But 10% of a movie, in tax credits, I think they're gonna get over it. We're talking about a lot of money. And money is what drives where films go. I don't know if you know this. I didn't know it until just recently. If you were a baseball player or football player or a basketball player, and you play a game in Georgia. Oh, let's say you play for the Ravens or you play for the Colts. When you come to Georgia and you play your game in the Georgia Dome, you pay taxes on the salary that you make for that game at that time. Now, you don't have to repay it when you go back to Indiana or Chicago, wherever you live, but Georgia reaps the benefits of your salary for that day and performing in the state of Georgia. So they want to do the same thing with celebrity salaries. So if Sandra Bullock comes to town and she makes $20 million on a movie, they want her to pay taxes in Georgia on that $20 million for the movie. She's either going to pay them in Georgia or she's going to pay them wherever she lives, California. But we would like to have the plus, the uplift of having that tax happen. And it's not new territory. This is what we do with sport athletes already all the time. One question has been, can anybody else claim the credit? We actually, these two are high on our list of good things. Only one production can claim the credit. So if a production company hired Craig Miller Productions to do a production for them, they would have the dibs on the tax credits versus Craig Miller. If I do something direct, if I make my own film, obviously it's my credit to have it home. They're talking about removing the incentive for all interactive gaming. That's not our deal. We hate it for the gaming people, and they're trying to get organized as fast as they can. They actually have big organizations in the state, you know. They also have other incentives that they can use. I haven't seen them like, you know, storming down to the Capitol and protesting, you know, like Dragon Con or something. But, you know, we haven't, you know, there's been a little bit of, you know, concern. Again, they fall into that interesting section where, like movies that are all animation, they don't shoot anything in Georgia. They just manufacture something and create something in Georgia. So they're sort of a different animal. And whereas I think it would be sort of forward thinking if digitally, you know, Georgia said, oh yeah, well that gaming group, that, you know, the folks that are creating, you know, stuff for Xbox and all of that Connect and all of that stuff, we're given an opportunity. I think they can make money in Georgia. I don't know if they make as much as, you know, building a factory, bricks and mortar kind of stuff, but I think it would show that we are future thinking folks. And so I'm disappointed from that front, but does it affect our deal? No, it doesn't affect filmmaking at all. And they're talking about ending the current sales tax exemption. That is the 7%. You get a number. The things you buy that qualify, some things fit, some things don't. Mostly it's for props and rental on equipment and things like that. It doesn't include meals or hotels or any of that part of it. It's a great little add-on, especially when you add it to 30%. It's immediate. You just get a number and, you know, you don't have to pay taxes from the get-go. But none of this has happened. This is just what the discussion's about. And again, we're trying to promote it and make sure that everything works well. And of all of these are probably prioritized in the way they'll go down. I think what they care most about is getting the Peach in a better position. Now, their argument, I don't really disagree with them a whole lot, is who stays to the end of the credits. You know, and you will see it placed in different spots. House of Pain places it further up in the credits. But it gives them a place to stand to make that work. So move on. Current productions, Greg Dominique went through a good bit of these. 42, the Jackie Robinson story, Harrison Ford, Revolution, No Good Deed, ID Theft, Steel Magnolias, Adult Children of Divorce, Let's Stay Together Season 2, Necessary Roughness, shooting at EUE Screen Gems. Drop Dead Diva, shooting down in Peachtree City and Troy Cathy's airplane hangars. Airplane hangars make great sound stages. If you have airplane hangars in your town, and you don't have a lot of airplane traffic, because the sound will kill you. But if you have good, open, big spaces like that, really great thing to know about and their availability. The folks that opened up Atlanta studios for a long time tried to work a deal in Hampton, Georgia, where they could be not only the studios for that part of the state, Hampton and Griffin in that area, but also that if the film incentive went away and all the business went away, wow, they just became airplane hangars because they were right next to the airport. Killing Season's been shooting in Raven County, in Douglasville, and Villa Rica, in Stone Mountain, all over the state. Single Ladies Season 2, Teen Wolf, which is an MTV product, is back, and Vampire Diaries is still over in Covenant. So it's about as deep as we can be with the crews that we've got going on. Are we going to tell somebody they can't come? No, but they're going to have to bring some folks with them at that point. Also, mentioned earlier today, Royal Pain is looking for extras in Kingsland because it's going to be the Hamptons in this next season of Royal Pains, which is a USA Network project that is in its third season. Questions? Why is I talk so fast? I want to make sure you have the time to. Yes.
And I don't know if you're gonna cover this later, but when you were talking about House Bill 1027,
Yes.
are there any ways that you have for us, like, I know these things are always kind of on the chopping block and being discussed every year. Any things that we should be doing to help ensure that these incentives stay around, like whether it be emails, letters, or just reporting back to the state, projects that we know about, or?
Well, I think what's really good is to always keep your state representative informed if there's a project going on in your area. And if you happen to be, is anybody the point person for Camera Ready in this room? One, okay. If you're a Camera Ready point person, if there's an opportunity to have a representative come down and, be on the set, the state does a lot of that as well, trying to get them to see the industry and know what's going on and, see that there are, 50 or 60 people on the crew working in your town and staying in your hotels and doing that thing. Always a nice plus. We have a news, I'll get to this in a minute too, but I'll give you a little preempt on it. We have a constant contact list that we keep people informed of good news, mostly good news. This is shooting here, this is going on there. It's a great opportunity to go out and do this. This is coming. I always think that keeping anybody informed is a great thing. If you're not on that email list, contact us and we'll put you on the email list. Because right now, our list consists of every Chamber of Commerce, every tourism outlet, and all the convention and visitors bureaus groups in the state, as well as every municipality. So we try to keep people informed, and we hope we're not over-informing. I realize in this age where everybody gets thousands of emails a day, this could be too much. But we try to give enough information that you feel like the industry's going on. And then if all of a sudden you would have heard from us big time if the 10% were on the chopping block. We just said, hey, we need some support here. We need you to call your representative. We need you to do something and tell them about what's going on. The greatest stories are the stories that are not directly related to the film industry. In other words, they're not a production person. Best story I've ever heard is Cofer Brothers. Anybody know Cofer Brothers Lumber Company? They always support the University of Georgia Bulldog radio games. But they're in Tucker. The recession hit. They're about to go out of business. I mean, their whole deal was based on building homes. And all of a sudden, there were no homes to be built. And more or less by happenstance, they connected with the film industry. You got to understand that when a production comes to town, you can't have enough plywood. You can't have enough 2x4s to deal with the things they want to deal with. And you know what they're going to do when they're finished? They're going to throw it away. And when they come back, what are they going to do? They're going to rebuy it. So Home Depot and Lowe's and people like that love the fact that your industry is causing their lumber sales to go up. And what else do they need? Hammers, nails. They're not going to bring those things with them. They're going to buy them from your local folks. So his whole business turns around. He's doing more business in the film business now than he is in what Cofer Brothers did their entire existence, which is something like 60 or 70 years. It's amazing. Now he'll tell that story. He was on a state panel at the legislature and told them that. But those kind of stories where it's not about, oh gee, I'm a filmmaker and this led me, I made the film of a lifetime because of the incentive. That's great. But they care about that outreach, that second tier that filmmaking supports across the state. So let's say you're looking to get more information though, in addition to that. The Atlanta, write these down. The Atlanta Film Community Facebook page The Atlanta Screenwriters Group, probably a secondary tier for all of you guys. The Georgia Film and Video Source Book. How many people have a Georgia Film and Video Source Book? How many people know what it is? Okay. The state of Georgia, here's my box. Every year, 2 weeks, they're about to come out again. Every year, the state of Georgia produces a source book. If you want to buy one, you can buy them for $49.95 by contacting Oz Publishing. Okay? If you have a project, or if you think you have a project, or you can just tell them that you need the book because you want to be ready when filmmakers are coming to your state. coming to your city. As long as you're not using it to call people and try to get business from them, they'll send you one. And this grows every year. Is it everybody in the state that does production? No, because it would be 3 times this big if it were everybody. But it is a good listing of lots of resources that you can get in the state. And I credit it with sort of saving my business. 20 years ago, I hadn't heard of the Georgia Source Book. I was in production, and I had to do a shoot the next day. Somebody said, here, look up people in here that you don't know, but they're going to be good folks. And I did. And I crewed up a 15-man crew overnight, just running down the pages and contacting folks. It was a great blessing. And you can be a lumber company and be here. You can be an office supply company and be in here. If you have companies in your area that you think might want to support them or might want to be more involved in the film industry, I advertise in this book every single year because somebody will pick up the book looking for a resource in the film industry, and this is a great qualifier. So I've got a few, if somebody wants, I think I've got about 7. I've got about 7 of them. The new book's coming out in 2 weeks, but it's a great resource for you. It's called the Georgia Source Book. In addition, you can get the Georgia Source Book online. So if you don't want a book, if you're new technology, if you're digitally sensitive, Oz Online, you can look up. You need a carpenter, you need a grip, you need a promotion, you need a hotel in Jasper, you can find one. Georgia Production Partnership, if you want to join, if you want to find out what we're doing, different stuff around the state, www.georgiaproduction.org. And the Southern Screen Report. Both this page and this page are different groups. There are people interested in the film industry. I can't vouch for their content, but they tend to be reliable sources of things that are going on in Georgia. Other industry resources, GPP website. GPP has a Facebook page, keeps things pretty current. The GPP email list we talked about, if you want to receive more information, we're talking about you get something probably every 2 weeks. If it's a heavy topic going on, you might get something once a week. If there's a call to action, you might get something every day. But it's a great list to be on, and it's very inclusive. This is a great website if you want to talk to people in your town about movie opportunities that are on the ground already. It was created by the Georgia Production Partnership. It's run by the Georgia Production Partnership. It's called Georgia Films Create Georgia Jobs, and it's a Facebook page. So if you just type in some of that top line, it'll pop up. It's all free information. Obviously, it's Facebook. People will, but you'll get some good information out of it if you check it. And it's going to tell you that we're hiring extras in Kingsland, that we're getting ready to set up shop in Woodstock. It'll give you those kind of that kind of stuff. And it also is a great resource for independent filmmaking. Smaller projects that are maybe $100,000 to $300,000. They'll take advantage of the page because they'll be looking to crew up, and they probably don't have as much money. They won't as a full-fledged feature film, but still good business, still need to build sets, still need to feed people. And then the Georgia Department of Film and Music and Digital Entertainment hotline and Facebook, which is just part of georgia.gov. they keep a hot, like I checked this morning, they have 2 new projects they're listing, one's for extras, one's for crew, but you can, it'll give you the state's latest list of information of what they've got going on. Mainly crew-based, but that's what's going on. So I thought I would show you the money. That's what we all want to know. Where can I make money on this deal? So the first area, don't change the slide, is pre-production. Who knows some service that you can offer in your town that, in regards to pre-production for a movie? What services might you come up with that you could offer a film coming to your town? In the pre-production area, which is before shooting starts.
A wood shop, cabinet shop,
Okay?
Permits,
Permits, said yes.
travel-related services.
Right.
Catering.
Catering can be set up, craft services, yes.
car collectors, antique cars might be in the area.
That's good.
Equipment, lighting, rental.
If you've got it, not necessary, but if you've got it, if you know where to send them, they'll probably know where to get that. But yeah, if you've got any sort of supplies like that in town, it's a great thing. Let's look at that next slide. So the biggest one that I can't believe the hotel people didn't come up with, hotels. I mean, people are gonna book rooms. If you hear success stories about people in Georgia that are sort of, that are in the tourism mainline, but are interested in filmmaking, you'll hear about, film's gonna be in town usually for 6 to 8 weeks. If you have one hotel room that you're renting for 6 to 8 weeks, you could say that's an accomplishment. If you have 50, it's incredible. Now, you get to smaller communities, and you're gonna be looking for places like, well, is there a house on Lake Burton? Well, is there a gated community where I can protect my stars, and keep them, close enough to get groceries and that kind of thing, not putting them out in the middle of the woods, but at the same time, keep them separated so that they're just not inundated with folks. One of the, besides hotels, I'll tell you 2 things about this. One is that lots of people and lots of hotels, in fact, want to promote that they're film friendly. Well, film friendly to a hotel mainly means that A, you've got rooms, but that B, you've got really easy access. That people can get equipment in and out of your building relatively simply. I had a shoot in Salt Lake City. I hired a relatively new production manager to get us a hotel in Salt Lake City. We were going to shoot in the snow. We're going to be there for 5 days. Well, he picked this charming little hotel. It was really pretty, probably 150 years old. The elevator was about this wide. We couldn't get anything. We had to rent a couple of extra rooms on the ground floor just to be able to store, so that we didn't have to lug it back up and down the stairs, because that was the only other way to do it. Making things easy is what you want to do. That will help attract film people. They'll even pay for a certain amount of accessibility.
What about transportation services? Will they always have that with them, or would they be needing
No,
limos
they
and buses?
can certainly,
as well?
it's sort of in my next group, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've got quality transportation services, yes, they're going to be interested in talking to you about that. Because, yeah, the stars got to get from wherever they are to where they need to be. Also think about things like, celebrities tend to want to stay in good shape. Is there private gyms are a kind of an interesting thing? 3 years ago, I belonged, you wouldn't believe it, but I belonged to a small gym. And we had, an usher was there working out every day. Who was the other star? Ashton Kutcher's wife. Demi Moore was there for 6 weeks working out. She went by another name. She didn't say who she was, but it was Demi Moore. She was living right down the street in a gated community. But knowing past your hotels, knowing good real estate people in your town, that can come up with a house that you can either put furniture in or that has furniture and will rent it out, it's a great thing to know. I mean, there are people now in Atlanta that run their entire business on that kind of scenario. So knowing properties that are available in your area, and they can make that work, and knowing a good real estate agent that can get you in there and get things set up and get power turned on if that's whatever's the case. Besides, they might be great locations. So, there's the location front to knowing good real estate people, and there's we gotta have a place for people to stay. Because once you get out of big metropolitan areas, you're probably gonna have a smaller amount of hotel rooms. And so they're looking for ways to make life easy for everybody along the way. Public relations, in terms of knowing what's going on and keeping people informed in the community, researching and historical advisors. If it happens to be your location has been picked because of historical significance or because it fits a certain thing, that would certainly help. Technical advisors, you're always going to need EMCs, ambulances, things like that. Yes, there are set people that work in the industry that understand it better than your local guy, but I always know where my closest ambulance is. Law and legal, translators and interpreters in case you're doing something with foreign languages. Production. I won't play the game because I bet you will run out of time. But let's move into production. I'll talk about it. Office support. This will go on for a while. Air freight, art and display, cleaning and janitorial, computer sales and service, concierge services, mailing centers, office equipment, furniture, and office rental. Every show has to have a production office. You got to have some place to put these folks so that they can operate. And it's their base while they're in your community. A great way to attract people once they've decided that a location works near your town is, the government offices, they've got, the second floor open with nobody in there and phones. We could attract people by, by giving them space and having their movie come here and impact our taxes and impact our restaurants and impact our tourism and make that work. But think of ways that you become more attractive as a town to make the movies work, because movie people are egotistical. They want you to take care of them. They will try to take advantage of you. But if you are out there with the hospitality first, you're going to reap the rewards of having a good relationship with them and making it work and generate more business showing up in your town. Transportation support, aircraft and helicopters. The biggest problem right now, I heard last night with Clint Eastwood's shooting in Macon, how does he get from Atlanta to Macon? It's like, so they're looking for a helicopter service, to transport Clint Eastwood. Ambulances, car rentals, fuel, base camp and power supplies, generators, basically. Cranes and lifts. Every town's got a rental company that's got forklifts and scissor lifts and condors. Limousines, mailing centers, highway safety products, cones. The film industry is a very safe industry, and they don't want accidents. And any way that you can help protect them with safety products, with police and fire support, great things. Know how to get in touch with all these people. If you've got a running list, and when somebody calls you, you can say, Bill, I've got the deal for you. It's near your location. It's and it's instantaneous. They're going to know you're ready to help them, and helping them makes them want to come back to where you are. Studios and stages. Almost everybody in this room, I would think, is not near a studio stage. So the number one thing that they would be looking for is a place to build sets so that they can do interiors, or otherwise they're going to be coming back to Atlanta to do that on a real sound stage. If you've got good warehouses with big high ceilings, if you've got an airport hangar that's in good condition and you don't have a lot of air traffic, great locate, know about these spots, make them about, again, Truett Cathy rents his hangars in Peachtree, in Peachtree City to Drop Dead Divas, and they shoot, their whole operation is run out of airport hangars. Catering and craft services, you might have gone out to the catering truck today. Those particular caterers have worked on X-Men, on numerous feature films that were in town. You got to be a little careful in this category because I'm sure each of your towns has more than one person who claims to be a caterer. And there's a little more expectation out of a film production than just being a caterer, So training up some of those people, I don't really know how to tell you how to get that experience without saying they just got it, they got to get it done. You might find most of the big movies are going to come with their own folks, or hire a company out of Atlanta or Nashville that comes to town and operates that. But coffee services, gift baskets, ice, tons of ice, linens, party supplies, refrigerated trailers. Table and chair rental is huge. You got to know the guy at your table and chair rental place. There's got to be some guy in town that does party supplies that makes that work. Tent rentals, because actors don't like to be out in the heat. And if they don't have trailers, the next best thing is a tent. So if you got a good tent rental company, excellent. And of course, wrap party cleaners who don't take photographs. Because you'll have photographs that you can never show anybody that you get sued if you did or killed. So, party planners without cameras. All right, next group. What are we going to talk about? Set supplies. And, here we go with the interior design and folks like that. I know a lot of people were involved in the Next Cool event, and that is sort of driven by the interior design industry in Atlanta. Sort of like catering, unless you've got film experience, you can probably service the person who is the person on set, who is in charge of the design, of the look of the show. But heck, lots of little towns have antiques. I guarantee you, after watching Wanderlust last night, that they went out in that community and bought some of that property. They didn't come to Atlanta to bring it in. Appliances and sales, sales and rentals, drafting supplies, art and display. There's, in terms of, we call them expendables, but it's things like masking tape and gaffer's tape and rope and stuff like that. Things that are going to get tossed at the end of the production. With a good art company, you can probably come up with most of that. Lumber and construction. Contact lenses and eyewear, costume jewelry, table and chair rental, crystal and china, dry cleaning, draperies and upholstery. All those things, again, the person in your town that does draperies and upholstery or window treatments or whatever is probably not going to be the lead designer on a $10 million movie. But the person in the art department that needs these things will be calling on those people, and if you can help them locate that, it's all great stuff. Flags and banners, flooring, medical and first aid, military surplus is huge. I can't tell you, you can't find enough military surplus stores. If you've got a good one in your area, it's a real plus. Printing, especially wide format things that, signage is really important to a crew because, to a production, because if they can't get their crew to the location, then they got a problem. So they want to do signs that direct people. If you're in Atlanta now, you'll see, that Tyler Perry's got signs up directing the extras to a Footloose when they were in town. They were all over Midtown directing people, but they need lots of signage. Uniforms, vintage clothing, wall art, window treatments, all of those kind of things. So there's a huge impact across the board with lots of different businesses that support filmmaking because it's like a small city. It works very much, I always say it works very much like a construction company. Most production companies are not really big. My production company is a small production company. It's only 4 people, but we hire 60 people during the course of the year to support all of the individual areas of expertise that we need to produce a film. So it's a very exciting thing. Yes, with anything that you do that's exciting, it's going to bring a lot of economic impact to your town or to your community. Yeah, there are going to be some challenges. I don't remember the name of the person from Dahlonega who was, I met at the Athens Governor's Conference, Governor's Tourism Conference, but when we were there, we were casually discussing filmmaking, and I'll call him John, I don't remember his name. John said, yo, man, I'm so disappointed. I just hung up the phone and we were trying to get this great movie with Jennifer Aniston. It was going to be incredible, and we thought we'd put all the pieces out there and Habersham County. I'm so disappointed. And I said, John, you realize that Wanderlust is a movie about a nudist colony? And you see the blood drain out of it. It was like, that might have been a challenge in Dahlonega. We heard it was a commune, not a nudist colony, So, okay, maybe that wasn't the film for us. There's another one. But, there will be things going on. You're dealing with big people with big egos and lots of money. There will be challenges that come along with it. I heard a story at lunch today. Is Clara in here? No. Clara was telling me, she said, it's incredible. He says, we've got the people from Vampire Diaries. They love us to death. We have a great time. We have tours now promoting Vampire Diaries and all of that. They want to shoot at 2 o'clock in the morning in a residential neighborhood. It's like the mayor is going crazy. Yes, and he calls me. Okay, well, I promise you're going to get some of those calls if you're involved in it. Because filmmakers, they don't really care when they work. They just want to get the work done, and they're on a schedule. And they want to do it their way. So that fine balancing act between being service-oriented, being hospitable, and making sure that people aren't calling the mayor to get them to upset him in the middle of the night, then, it is that fine line you walk. And I think the rewards are great. I think that filmmaking is a great industry. It's an industry that's going to continue to grow and prosper in Georgia. And I hope that you're all a part of it in some way, because it's a great field to be in. Any other questions? I've talked a lot, sorry.
I know this is really a stupid question, but the sets that they build, say they go to the warehouse, they build that, and you say that they don't use it today. What do they do with that usually?
They throw it away.
Well, why don't, I was going to say, is there not somebody out there looking like, say, some of these theater, like university theater groups saying, well, hey, we'd love to have those sets, we'd love to have this.
It's easier for them to turn down.
It is easier? Okay.
Yeah.
Do they rent their, all the furnishings and stuff, the draperies and stuff?
Usually rental. If you're talking to interior design people in your community, they don't really want to buy anything. If you can sell them the bed in Wanderlust, if you can sell them the coat rack, they'd rather rent it for $20 a day and you keep the coat rack and have it when it's over with. One of the interesting industries, it's been a while since I've been on the site, but they actually auction off wardrobe after most movies shoot. And sometimes it's done for charitable causes, and sometimes it's just done to offset the cost of the movie. But there are a couple of websites where you could buy the wardrobe, Jennifer Aniston's wardrobe from Wanderlust, if you wanted to have it in your display in your retail store or whatever. Wear it on a Saturday night, or not wear it at all. Yes.
Can I ask another, this is probably a stupid question.
No
You
question.
said those people that they're filming in their community on their street, do they compensate those people? Like say they're gonna be filming at 2 o'clock in the morning. Is there,
Repeat the question, please.
Yeah, I will.
do any of those people get compensated for their inconvenience of being woke up in the middle of the night?
We're talking about compensation for locations. The answer is it should be. A film company is going to try to get as much as they can because they're trying to control a budget. But at the same time, the whole to understand filmmaking, the whole production is based on control. And the more control they have, the better off they are. So Clara was telling me permitting is the key. Is that you need to be able to permit where the film crew's going to be. More than likely, you're going to shut down that street. Well, if you're shutting down that street, that might be really fun for the neighborhood for a couple of days. But if it's for an entire week, they're not going to be. They don't care that John Travolta's on their street if they can't get to their driveway, kind of thing. So, being proactive about setting up the way it works. So that, so if you have a rule, the rule now in Covington is everybody within 500 feet of where they're shooting has to say it's okay. They have to, if they don't, they can't shoot in that house, okay? And more than likely, everybody is paid. The main structure would be paid more. You're gonna say, well, how much is that? Whatever the market will bear. It's like, I remember when Heat of the Night started shooting in Covington years ago. Well, the first year, it was great. We got stars here. We got stuff going on. It's free. And everybody figured out, wait a minute, that ain't really working really well. My business, nobody can get to my business because, there's a cop car and a camera and everything parked out in front. So the education kind of came later as the industry matured a little bit. But yeah, usually the location gets paid, and then anybody that's immediately inconvenienced should be covered so that you don't have a problem. Atlanta's got a code. They don't want you shooting after 11 o'clock. You have to get special permission to shoot in Atlanta after 11 o'clock, mainly for the noise factor. But the real thing is making sure that the production company knows what the rules are, and that you have permitted and made sure that you found out everything that can impact that production
Is that
as it
something
goes
that
in.
the city and the county should go
Yes.
ahead and put into their?
Your film person should know that chain of command, that they can call anybody in an instant, because on I forget what television show was shooting in Atlanta, they shut them down. Well, because of the noise ordinance. If you're shut down, you're stuck. I mean, you're losing money. That's not a good place to be in, So permitting is, in my book, a good thing, because it says, I have the right to be here, and the people in this area know that I have policemen here, I've done the right checks, I've followed through and made, it isn't just like I gave them carte blanche and said, show up on the street and start shooting, because they'll take over. I mean, if you ever let somebody in your house to shoot a film, you need to just go away, because it will be so painful watching. Everything in your house is probably going to come out, and every wire that's imaginable will probably run in so that they can start lighting and doing those kind of things. So that's on the government page, on the government.org page as well, that if you want to list your house as a location, you can do that. But be prepared to go on vacation that week.
Craig?
Yes.
She was asking whether it's county and city, and I'm a Camerati person, but I'm also a city councilman. Keep it as open as you can. It's good to have a permit, but oftentimes you can limit to the point that you will eliminate a possible film coming into your area. So you need to, if you don't anticipate having a huge trafficking in films, keep it as open as possible, keep open communication with your county and your city leaders, make them aware of what's going on, and try to get them on board, and then set up the things you need as they come, rather than planning that ahead.
You don't want to make it an onerous process.
Do you have an ordinance already in place that's on a case-by-case basis?
We do not. We handle each individual project individually in the 4 counties that I covered, in both municipalities and the county, working with the leaders in each of those counties. We could and still, but as a city council member, once lawyers get involved, it becomes sometimes bigger than life and more difficult to, and that's what happens when you put an ordinance on the books. It has to have all the legalese in it, then you're going to be kibitzing about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Deal with it when you know that you have to have it. If you just need a simple permit thing, say we'd like to have a permit costs
$50.
$50, $25, and then that leaves it open to.
Yes, the big picture is, I'm bringing a $10 million film to my community. The small picture is, I just made $50 with a permit. Don't think small,
And
think big.
so that's, those things you don't have to limit. That's the key.
We want to thank Craig for doing a wonderful presentation.